Hello, you are listening to Talking Utter Slot, and it's quarter-final 3 in our 2024 World Cup of Slot. We're narrowing down 16 slot car makers down to try and find out who is the best, in our opinion. As Nick said in another podcast, it's two blokes in a cupboard arguing. Not necessarily the same cupboard, but anyway. So it's a bit of fun, but we're taking it as seriously as we take anything. I refer people to the title of the programme. And in this quarter-final 3, nearly got that wrong, quarter-final 3, it's SCX.
It's a Spanish derby.
It's a Spanish derby. It's SCX, or Scalextric in Spain, versus Fly car models, slot wings, GB, other names are available, but Fly, the company we know and love as Fly. So obviously SCX, born out of the original British Scalextrics, which have been made under license in Spain, and then they started making their own models, became their own company, and started doing their own thing a long time ago. I think back in the 70s. Gone through various ownerships now, but very much back in the game, producing new and reissuing old models. They've got a track system, they've got digital, all of that stuff. Full toy manufacturer through to the sort of thing people wake up on Christmas morning delighted to have unwrapped. Fly, have we just 20 years old? Fly 25, something like that. 25,
like, yeah.
Yeah.
They changed the game, didn't they? I mean, they brought levels of detail and modelling to the hobby. I think it was the Venturi was the first big release from Fly all those many years ago. A car so accurate, the driver could even do a Gallic shrug and go, quack.
So the Viper was actually first, but I don't want to spoil. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good
exactly.
shrug.
So anyway, they went from modern GTs to making lots of Porsche 917s and Porsche Flanders and lots of Porsches, basically. And the Steve McQueen era Le Mans cars, and then trucks and all sorts of stuff, basically. Engines located or motors located where you'd find the engines in the real car.
Which I think is a unique Fly attribute, isn't it? I don't think anyone else has sought to copy that particular feast.
Only Auto Art with its Porsche 997. Yes. They've done the rear-mounted motor. A lot of manufacturers have done front motors, but not necessarily for as long as Fly have, and for good reason, in that they don't necessarily go as well if you don't just make slot cars with a mid-mounted, ideally inline motor. Yeah, said it.
But it would be fair to say, and I'm a huge fan of both of these brands, so this is a genuine. I'm going to be happy whoever goes through, or I'm going to be unhappy whoever loses.
They both make Renault 5 turbos, Scott, so you're going to be happy either way.
But yeah, I mean, you just can't go wrong, basically. But the thing about Fly is they probably are more interested in how it looks than how it goes. They still go well. Again, keep the magnet in, take the magnet out. It doesn't matter. They go the way they go, and I have a lot more fun running my cars without the magnets in, even the front-engined ones. I mean, the M3 is just a great fun because it's like an M3. The back end is sliding around all over the place. It's proper good. They're possibly a little overscale. I think the Renault 5 Turbo would have been a good, actually, as a an avatar for the two brands. That one model, the SCX one is probably a scale, so it's quite a small little car, and whereas the Fly one is probably a little overscale, but it's got lots of lovely detail, and a measure of the lovely detail for people who don't know this model. It even has the map reading light above the co-driver molded into the legs. So I think that's salute to that sort of detail.
Which is why, for my competitive Lancia 037, having scooped all that stuff out, the body weighs 12 grams. because
you've got rid of all the good bits. Yeah,
got rid of all the pretty bits. Yeah,
all the pretty bits.
It's a good measure. The standard body, I think, was 41 grams, and it's down to less than 12. So yeah. Sorry.
So let's see if this was a game, then we'd say, let's say we'll go to half time and it's still 1-1. So there are attributes on both sides.
Personally,
narrowing it down,
I can't forgive Fly for so many shoddy gears and pinions and loose electrical connections, wheels that fall off, all of that sort of stuff, when the looks of the cars are brilliant. So people are buying Fly stuff because it looks $1 million, and then certainly in my case, the two 555 Audi Quattros I've got will not work. I haven't done anything to them to make them work. Equally, I haven't done anything to them not to make them work. They just came out of the box, went on the track, magnet's still in, haven't taken the body off. Smell of hot motor. Nothing's turning. Whereas an SCX is, it's a toy brand, and it is the definite toy end of the market. But where they stand compared to both Scale Electric and Carrera, in my view, of the three mass production brands that we have left since Ninko's gone, is that, like Ninko, they teach the joy of it. They are easy cars to drive, easy cars to slide, easy cars to play with and get pleasure from. They look good. The range is diverse. I'm obviously personally slightly miffed that they've gone to Mabuchi Motors and are making everything digital compatible. I like the RX, but then again, can you wholesale buy in RX motors at a reasonable cost these days, or does it have to be a Mabuchi on that? And do we keep SCX in business that way? Obviously, their business model is to go more towards digital or digital compatible, which means those sorts of motors. It also means the end of proper four-wheel drive with a shaft, and it's back to rubber bands like everyone else. But I'd rather SCX was there than not. And the cars still do what the cars always did. A lot of them are the same molds, of course, like the Renault Alpines and the SCX 131s and Fiat 131s and whatever else is coming. A lot of it is stuff we've seen before, refreshed. But that's fine, in as much as they're good models, they're good cars, and they're fun to drive, and they still are. Whereas I get annoyed with Fly for quality control.
Okay, I was going to say I know what you mean, and I think of the most recent half a dozen SCX cars I've got, probably half of them are fine out of the box. One of them is very unround or unstraight axle, so it's causing me a bit of a problem, which used to be a real hit and miss with them. That's better than it was, but that's so they're not immune to being. It'll still go. It just bounces around quite a lot. And I think you mean, as well as reissuing old molds, they are making new ones. So the Puma and the Hyundai going to do the Yaris. Fly, less so. I mean, we've promised lots of new cars from Fly, but we've not actually seen any for some time, I don't think.
Well, as we discussed last week, one of the new releases for this year was first announced 15 years ago. So, and okay, it's a small company. They're in difficult trading conditions. We've had at least 2 economic blowouts since that car was announced. So, yeah, it's understandable to an extent. And we want to be kind, but equally, we don't want to spend, let's say, 65 quid on a slot car, put it on the track, and it doesn't go anywhere. SCX cars do tend to do that. They do tend to move. And not only that, but they do it on other track systems. Pretty much every track system, you can make an SCX car go and make it go in a way that makes you feel cheery.
Cheery. they wouldn't be quick necessarily. I think especially the longer the straight, and again, this is the old motor. The RX motor had its. Like you, I'm a fan of it, but it was definitely not good at powering things at high speed down a long straight. You lost out doing that. But then most home sets have not got long straights. They're tight, twisty on the living room floor.
We did a 9-hour race for SCX GTs in standard unmodified form. Might have changed the tyres on ours halfway through the race, but it was fun to race like with like, and that's always the thing. Is that it's always fun to race like with like. I could make a case for RevoSlot on that basis. Sadly, I can't because they're not in the competition anymore. But
not anymore. No.
If you race like with like, and SCX again, they're Formula Ones from the 80s. I'd rather have a race for those than get involved with the generic stuff from Scale Auto or NSR these days.
Okay. Fine. So I think we're in agreement on this one. I think what looked at the start might be a little bit tricky has emerged to be a clear decision. So I'm going to declare for SCX, having previously declared my huge fondness for both of them. But I think in this head to head, SCX take it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think so.
The coin of doom can stay safely in your pocket another time, which is good. So, well done, SCX. That means they go through to a semi-final against Slotted Polycar. We'll just let that.
It'll be interesting.
We'll just let that one percolate, and we move on to quarterfinal 4, where the winners of that will play. Who will they play? They'll play Skeletric. So it's the way the draw was random. So it's interesting how these things are thrown up. Thanks for listening. Look out for quarterfinal 4 and the rest of the games, and we'll see you soon.